Our next panel discussion will touch upon the leisure landscape, India's entertainment tomorrow. This segment will be moderated by Mr. Pramod Arora, CEO, PVRINOX, and we are looking forward to hearing from him, along with the panelists who will be joining us here on stage. We're all set to extend a very warm welcome to all our esteemed panelists. Let's make some noise as I welcome them here. Please put your hands together for Mr. Rajneesh Mahajan, CEO, Inorbit Malls. Let's hear it up for Mr. Devang Sampath, CEO, Cinepolis India. All those of you who've been enjoying all the popcorn out there from their booth, double the applauses, please. Let's hear it up for Mr. Ankur Maheshwari, founder, Masti Zone, promoter, Modern Group of Companies, and Vice Chairman at Indian Association of Amusement Parks and Industries. May I present to you Mr. Vishal Mehta, CEO for Technologies. Please put your hands together for Ms. Arpita Tandon, Head of Family Entertainment Center, JLL India. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. May I also welcome Mr. Abbas Jabalpurawala, CEO, Time Zone. Please put your hands together for all our panelists right here as we look forward to a very, very special segment. Let's discuss the leisure landscape. What is it that India can look forward to? And we have the best names that represent leisure in India. So who better than them to tell us what is it that the consumer wants today and what is it that we are going to see in the trends tomorrow? May I please welcome Mr. Abbas Jabalpurwala, CEO, Time Zone, to join us on stage.
Yeah, he's joining in.
Should I
Having
call
a
you?
lunch.
Abbas is signing spaces.
Abbas is having his breakfast, I believe.
It's here, no?
Oh, we are good with it. I mean, we are used to such occupancies.
I know, but okay.
So we have Ankur missing.
And we got Abbas.
Abbas missing. Ankur is here.
No, Uncle's not here.
Ankur is also not here. No, I can't see the last.
Yeah,
Why don't you keep the chair?
yeah, please. Oh, he's here.
Yeah, both Abbas. So let's give a huge round of applause for Abbas. He finished his lunch so quickly.
You got double the applauses now from my audience. Let's hear it up for the two of them, please. Thank you so much for joining us. They were just making sure that when we talk about leisure, we bring some for the audience as well. So all yours.
So Ankur has come in full masti now. So, it's good to see the hall half full, which, accounts for like 50% occupancy. It's a great number to be in. So, post-lunch, we welcome all of you. And we have an esteemed set of panelists. Rajneesh, who has been the pillar of strength at the Inorbit malls and has been spearheading to bring about the best of the shopping centers across the country. We have Vishal, who represents the new Bharat, manufacturing the games in India and taking the gaming from India to the other parts of the world. Perhaps we have Ankur, who represents Masti Zone, and which again has been expanding the footprint in the country at a phenomenal pace. We have Devang, who doesn't need an introduction. He is the managing director for Cinepolis, which is one of the largest cinema operators across the world. He represents India as of now, and perhaps in the coming future, maybe the global managing director soon. And then we have Abbas from Time Zone again. The name doesn't need much introduction. He represents Time Zone, which is an international gaming arcade company, which has been in the country for, I believe, 2 decades now. More than 2 decades? Yeah, 20 years. So they've been there and have been changing the skyline of gaming at a much faster pace. Arpita represents JLL and has been actively involved onto the research side in the entertainment and leisure industry. Besides, from the back end ensuring that operators are able to get the right spaces within the shopping centers for gaming, entertainment and leisure formats. So let me
And
begin
we have
this.
Pramod, who is the king of 70 larger than life, largest number of screens, asking tough questions.
Oh, thank you. I'm humbled. So let me begin this with Rajneesh. So Rajneesh, as managing director of an extremely successful shopping center brand which has been making waves in the country, how do you see the future of malls in the Indian market, especially the growth footprint?
I think Pramod is in a very wishful mood today. He's wishing Devang to be a global CEO and me to be a managing director. I'm not yet. I'm just a CEO. But thank you for your wishes. I think uh, for last 10, 15 years or 20 years that I have been seeing retail in India, I'm seeing a very consistent supply average of 4 to 5 million square feet of retail space, good quality retail space. I'm not counting uh, any other. And I see that for next 15, 20 years, we can continue to absorb little higher than that as well. So in next 15 years, if we can deliver another 120 million square feet of good quality retail real estate, I think we can absorb that as a nation. And I see so many cities across the country which can absorb a good 500,000 to a 700,000 square feet of retail space, which is so underserviced right now. I see bigger cities which are growing at a very faster pace can absorb another million square feet large supply every 3 to 4 years. So, a city like NCR can have 1 million opening every 3 to 4 years. Mumbai can have an retail opening 1 million every 3 to 4 years, which is not happening. So there is a lot of underserviced markets in India. And I see that the good quality retail spaces has the power to create consumptions. Old economic theory, supply creates demand, I think is very true to our industry. If you create that kind of infrastructure, you will create that kind of consumption to support it.
That's exciting. So if one was to extrapolate what Rajneesh is saying is, we'll be able to get a CAGR of something like 15 to 20% in the industry. And the volume of 15 to 20% is perhaps coming in from the size of the shopping centers. So instead of doing those 100 to 150,000 to 200,000 shopping centers, he's talking about doing regional destination centers. Perhaps, if you could throw some light, because, I'm privy to what you're doing in Vizag. I'm also privy to what you're doing in Hubli. In their own way, they represent regional destination centers and could represent something like 50 miles radius for people to come in. And which seems to be the order of the day from a very layman's perspective. But I'm sure, Rajneesh would be able to throw better light on this.
So when we look at Vizag, we look at it as a regional center, and we believe it will end up catering to 200-kilometer radius, not only 50 miles. And it's happening in India already. If you look at Viviana, which sits at the beginning or edge of the Thane market, on a weekend gets a lot of people coming from Nasik. If I look at my Baroda centers, on a weekend we get a lot of people from Anand, Baruch and other cities. And we can see, and we are measuring it by the number plate registration numbers of the cars. So we know with the sample size that we have. And when I say that there is a lot of underserviced markets, and that's where these opportunities are. Like today, if people have to travel 200 kilometers from Nasik, 4 hours drive to Thane, there is a market developing in Nasik where it can be a good serious mall emerging. So Vizag we looked at, and I think in the sizing of the property we have gone a little aggressive. It is now 1.4 million square feet. It's a beautiful horizontal property. We have not gone vertical, so the asset quality will be it could be an asset anywhere in the world, not only in India. So you create a good quality asset and you get best quality consumers coming in and enjoying the experience.
So, that's a great insight. Uh, the people living in tier 2 and tier 3 towns are exactly similar to the people living in tier 1 towns. They're expecting a similar quality, similar brands. and similar infrastructure in terms of their social needs. So Arpita, on to you. When you look at companies like Inorbit, bringing in the shopping center footprint of 1 million or 1.5 million square feet sort of shopping centers, how do you advise people who are creating small shopping plazas and then trying to converge all formats into those? And perhaps some of them would be wasting precious national real estate doing such ventures. They may not suffice a reason to be in the longer run, creating an infrastructure of that order of, a lakh, 2 lakh, or 3 lakh square feet. And then, burning that money in a period of 3 years, even if you were to do strata sale, someone out there has a bell around his neck which is going to ring after 5 years. So how do you advise such people in an environment which is giving way to regional destination centers?
So actually, if you've seen, we've launched the report. JLL launched a game report on gaming very recently, yesterday, and we were talking about how the size of malls have changed from about 4 lakh square feet to about 5 lakh square feet on an average in the last 10 years. We've been seeing in regional centers where people are looking at making bigger centers. But we need to also advise them that please cater to the population that you have and the people that you're serving. Having a wholesome experience is what people want. If you're going to a mall, I need to take my entire family where I need cinema, I need entertainment, I need the right food, and the right brands which is adaptable to that city. I mean, if you're taking an H&M or a Zara, or we're talking about taking a destination or our Reliance or Tata to that city, we need to also advise them, we do advise them that this is how the portfolio, or this is the need of the hour for that region. Yes, what I've noticed is in our entire study, we kind of reached out to 83 cities where we saw that the demand for gaming was a lot. People haven't seen it. And that's where in my report we clearly stated that if there is about 53% in Tier 1, the rest demand or the rest of the gaming centers are in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. So in the regional centers, we kind of, people want to go, high streets are the main dominance, but in regional centers, people want to go for an experience, and you need to create that experience in a mall when you're occupying that kind of space.
That's a great insight. So, moving on to Devang. Devang, how do you see the future of cinema halls evolving beyond traditional movie screenings, especially with the OTT's growing impact? One could say that post-pandemic, things have changed. My belief is that maybe pandemic just added an accelerator. OTT was something which was there before, it just added an accelerator. So how do you see the future of cinema halls evolving within this part of the world and the balanced part of the world?
When you say balanced part of the world is outside of Mumbai or outside of India?
In India.
In India itself, okay. No, Pramod, so I think Rajneesh nailed it. I mean, we need to have a supply to create a demand. And let me go back a little. When we started, I mean, of course, you entered and you started expansion of multiplex as a PVR brand much earlier, at least a decade earlier. And then when we entered in 2009, rather we opened the first one in 2009, we saw there were 9,500 movie screens. And so theaters, you can say whether multiplex or single screen. So 9,500, coming back 15 years, it is still 9,500. Of course, multiplexes, they did grow from 1,500 screens that we had back then to 3,600 multiplex screens, whether it is local, national, but it is still a huge room. And I don't want to compare ourselves with China, but just to put things in perspective, when we were counting 1,500 multiplex screens, China had 1,000 screen in 2009. And now they have 70,000 screens compared to 3,600 multiplex screens that we have. And then of course the GDP per capita, etc., is not comparable. but it will be in near future. So whether there is a uh, opportunity, the answer is yes. What is happening currently and specific to question on OTT and what can be done, I think the main important point is people are coming back. It is just that they need a right content, and producers are again going back to drawing board and understanding the trend, understanding what is really required to live up to both OTT and for production house and for the theaters. The important part is that yes, when you look at introduction of OTT, it has only helped exhibitors, and we have spoken a lot about this because this OTT platform gives an additional amount of opportunity for producer to invest more money in building quality production. Now it is not only about the top 5 stars who are standing with a poster and the movie will be hit. Now it is about who's the director, who's the uh, you know script writer. Thanks to OTT, people have now started monitoring what is happening there, and movies are performing. The fact is that uh, not only in India but globally, the movie going habits have changed. OTT has impacted, but the bigger ones are becoming more bigger, and we are seeing too many bellies. So those bellies is something where we need to address the operating model, and then I'm sure once we have enough supply, we will be able to create more demand.
So that, takes me to the next one. Do you see some disruptive technology or a bold new business model, think, say, let's say if you were to have your blue sky thinking hat, do you believe that there is going to be certain amount of disruptions or a bold new business model which is at the anvil for cinemas?
I mean, you need to be clear. At least from our perspective, we are very clear, and we are in the business of showcasing the content that customer wants. So that's something that will remain. Uh, in this year when we had a dearth of content, we re-released Rockstar, and the new fresh movie, which releases on 15th of August, does not generate 500,000 admission, but the re-release of Rockstar has generated 500,000 of admission only in multiplexes. So whether it is re-release of old content, and by the way, those content are available on OTT. Talk about Laila Majnu. I mean, I was in Nagpur last week, and for the entire week we were running 5 shows, and not a single show is empty. It's 100% occupied for all week. So which content works, and is it because of technology? No, it's just that we need to read the demand. If the content is right, I'm sure things will come back. We need to keep on upgrading technology, and as we say that sound projection, basic hygiene level is a key. And if we do the basic things right, I mean, go back to basic, do the basic thing right, I mean, all those technology, etc., will continue to contribute 10-12% of your revenues. But we need to focus on the balance 85%, which is still showing the larger than life movie on a big screen. And it's the business model is clear that it's for the crowd viewing, and people like to watch their movies on a bigger environment with the crowd, and it's not about solo watching. So answer the question, technology, yes. I guess Rajneesh wants to add something, but I'll pause and then give it to him.
I wanted to ask both of you a question.
No, you're not a moderator.
No, I have a right to ask question. That is what Mapic told me. So, you go to Imagica or you go to these theme parks, and there are this beautiful 9D screens where you get a flying experience. And the way seats come is they are folding seats. You walk in, you sit, and the seats then go up through a mechanism.
Yes.
And then you can enjoy. Now, why can't we have cinemas which have the seating arrangement, which can just go up, stack to the ceiling, or go and stack to the back of the wall? And when you do not have a big movie coming, you can run it like a arena or a banquet or something. Is it
See,
possible?
Yeah, it is possible. When you say about the technology, it definitely gives you that option. Unfortunately, the mechanics, the economics around this model does not work because, if one was doing a cinema hall for, let's say, hypothetically, about 30 million Indian rupees a screen, this will cost you 300 million. So the cost is so high to put that technology. It has been put up in stadiums in many, many places now, even in India. The cost of technology is very high. Perhaps in the coming years, this could be one of the disruptions that happens in the cinema industry, wherein you could be having the seats on rails and the rails take it back. It's possible. And many of the operators across the globe have been have been talking this language. Can it be made into a black box when you need it? And rest of the times it's a cinema hall. It is. So, while what Devang suggested is very plausible, what he suggested was that Laila Majnu or Rockstar in their second edition have done phenomenal numbers, and it's good to know that Laila Majnu in its first avatar did not make that much box office, which it did in the second innings or the second run. So does that lead us to the situation that the new content has still not sharpened its edges, because of which the old content which is available on OTT happened to do much better numbers?
I think the bigger point is that if the content is marketed well, positioned well, and presented with the right marketing as per the demand, it is working at the box office. Whether it is the Laila Majnu, Rockstar, or Tumbad that we re-release, it's not about those specific movies. It's about people are very keen to go back to cinema hall. Unfortunately, after COVID and the slowdown that we had in 2022 second half, where nothing was working, even a movie like, imagine a movie like Jayesh Bhai Jordar with Yash Raj banner, with Ranveer Singh not performing. It gave kind of shock, and not performing is the lowest opening ever by any A-listed star. So it gave a shock to people on what is really happening. And when I say people, is specifically producers. So what is really happening? So it's not that that these movies are working and the new movies are not making a good content. We have a dearth of content. It's not about number of titles, but the quality of title. And like I said, that the producers are very closely observing it. I'm sure they'll come back with new strategy. It's already happening. We saw that the horror comedy genre has been working really well this year, and it will continue to find its own path. Issue still remains that there is a definite uncertainty on what is happening with the content, and we need to be ready with both the models. Whether, of course, when in a good times, you need to be ready with how do we operate the cinema, but also at the times where the footfalls are not there, how do you sustain?
Surya, moving to Ankur, how do you see the evolution of amusement and gaming industry, in the country? Any trend forecasts that you have? And how much does customer loyalty programs play a role, especially in your side of the industry? When I'm suggesting it's to suggest a convergence, I could be playing a game at one of your centers, and then I want to be playing a similar or the same game starting from the place where I left at your center back at my home. Is there a possibility around that? Is that sort of a convergence happening wherein I can take a piece of experience back home and then begin it from the same place, sort of a thing?
Thanks for the question, Pramod. And I also represent Indian Association of Amusement Parks and Industries. So I can tell you the numbers which are coming in. So Indian amusement industry is currently at 12,500 crore market, and it is growing at a CAGR of 11%. If we talk about indoor amusement centers, it is currently a 6,000 crore industry, and it is growing at 15 to 16% CAGR. So which is a great number, and we cannot deny the kind of presence they are creating, kind of buzz we are creating in the retail industry. So this is the growth, and this is the current number. And you asked that what are the upcoming trends? So we see that the indoor amusement centers would be getting a bigger chunk of space in times to come. it has already started post-COVID because of various reasons. A is the mall sizes are increasing, as we mentioned. Uh, Various other formats are depleting. Some formats are like F&B in the malls are now increasing. Similarly, ISEs are increasing. ISEs, the size of ISEs are increasing. Then you mentioned about the royalty programs. So yes, in our centers and in most of our centers, we have this kind of a system where there is a card and a customer uses the card to play a game. And this card can be run in, can be used in all the centers across the country. So this happens and this creates a loyalty. And this also compels the customer to buy a higher value card. So when a customer buys, for example, a 10,000 rupee card, we give them a value of 15,000 rupees and they can use it in across centers. So this in short creates a loyalty. This is how we do.
So, moving to Abbas. So, Abbas, Ankur spoke about the loyalty and also the size of the industry. So, if I was to, extrapolate the numbers, it is roughly an 18,000 crore industry. If I was to take the center industry at 6,500, both together.
So both is 12,000, out of which 6,000 is indoor amusement centers.
So 12,000 and growing at a CAGR of 12%, 11%, 12%, which is a great number, suggesting that the growth seems to be exciting. And in a country as large as India, wherein a disruption or an evolution of a technology plays a major role, how does time zone see the evolution of technology, especially with AR, VR, and now XR being spoken about, which is experiential reality, and that coming up in the gaming industry? How do you foresee the trends for time zone, especially in this evolving trade?
Yeah. Thanks, Pramod, for the opportunity. Look, the space that we are into right now is going to evolve a lot in the next 2-3 years. And all developers who are meeting me outside are asking me, sir, हम mall बना रहे हैं, 5 साल बाद बनेगा, क्या size रखना चाहिए? I said, if your mall is 1 million square feet, I think you should keep minimum 75,000 to 1 lakh, 10%, 8 to 10% for entertainment. Because it is, now if you see, entertainment is very vast. Earlier when developers used to build malls, they used to keep one corner, the least, one more, that corner of the mall, least में entertainment करेंगे. Now we are sort of drivers to the, drivers of foot traffic. What we have done in time zone over the last 4-5 years, if you've seen our venues, we have used technology to get closer to the consumer. So one is through the mobile app, where you cut the queue, you just load on the app and you enter and you play. We are reaching a situation where you just tap your phone on the reader and it will start. So one is that technology evolution that we are talking about. Second, on the product front, earlier developers used to say, boss, you put one ride here and one roller coaster there and all of that. And now they are talking about what are you going to do in terms of meta, what are you going to do in terms of VR. So we were the first movers to get the first role play VR into the country, which is the original Hologate, which is European manufactured, right? So these kind of products, they are waiting to enter the country, and there are so many under development. We are privy to a lot of products that are going to come 6 months, 9 months down the line, which is free roam VR, XR, AR, all that you are talking about. And of course, it will come at a price. This is not, or nothing is going to come cheap, but I see that Indian consumer is now evolved enough and they pay for the experiences as long as the experience delivered to their expectation. If you charge 2,000 rupees for a play and if it doesn't deliver, it is not going to work. So just to add to that, there is a small VR zone here in Parel, which is, the game is called Zero Latency. You might have not even heard about it. But when I went there and I met the two young couple who started this, and I asked, how did you get this idea? They said, we just went to Bangkok, played this game, liked it. We thought, let's do it in India. And the game, by the way, is costing 1.5-2 crores. Okay, one VR. And it requires 1,500 square feet. And the lady tells me that, Abbas, you'll not believe me, opened, and Mahendra Singh Dhoni's team reached out and he said he wants to play this game, he wants to come with his friends. So that's the kind of pull these games have. That the celebrities search, and there's a photo over there of Mahendra Singh Dhoni playing the game. It's in Toddy Mills somewhere. So these kind of evolution is what is going to define FECs in the future, and the earlier operators recognize it and grab the opportunity a little better. Otherwise, world will move very fast. And like you said,
What an amazing revelation. You know, the engagement side of it, the immersion side of it is playing the trick. So somewhere, you know, being a couch potato at your home to apparently going on to a gaming center, you know, in fact, even spending some bit of your energy and getting on with it.
it is competitive socializing is the new terminology. That's the college friends want to go out with in a group and compete with each other, but yet socialize. So that's the new thing. That's
So social competition.
No, so I mean, like I'm just adding to what Sir is saying. So what has happened is right after COVID, people want to go out. They want to send their children out and for an experience because kids were bound indoor and they're doing indoor gaming, like your online gaming. But now, over the last 4 years, post-COVID, we've seen a surge of so many new entertainment centers come up with a concept of entertainment, which is your F&B and entertainment together, as well as social competitive socializing, where you have a little bit of bowling or bar and lounge. You've got golf, like a swing lounge concept, where you have a golf simulator and bar and lounge. And these kind of concepts are adding a lot of time, like, you know, people get to spend time together, whether it is team bonding, whether it's getting all your friends together. So these concepts are the new game changers in the indoor entertainment world.
You know, while sometimes I get to feel that COVID is like an AD or a BC event, you say, before COVID, post-COVID. So I believe it was all there to happen. Just that COVID happens to be something that we mention as an AD or a BC. So, you know, moving to Vishal. So, you know, Vishal, as you know, represents manufacturing of games in the country. He and his partner who passed out of IIT started this venture and are seeing a lot of traction coming to this side. Vishal, do you believe that India in the coming years would be able to export a lot of games and especially the tech games from here to other parts of the world? One. Second, how do you see this panning out on a mass level in a country as large as India? You know, when one goes to your stall also, one finds that you just need a very small space and the games are engaging. And perhaps, you know, they have a life cycle which is far, far beyond shopping centers. They could potentially be a part of high street, a part of any assembly building where people are conglomerating and, you know, the small center is set up where people come in, have a good time and, you know, perhaps the industry could see huge upside out there. So do you see that India is at that cusp wherein it will be able to take the gaming industry from here to the world?
Thank you for the question. See, to answer your question, we need to understand that the customer demographics are changing very quickly. So as per the report that JLL launched and also a report was launched by PwC in January of this year. So by 2027, 77% of total customers that come to amusement industry would be millennials and Gen Z. And the kind of experiences that they want is very different from what we are offering right now. So to break this question into two parts, number one is what is the role of Gen Z and millennials in the coming years in amusement industry? And second is how will be the industry ready to cater to their needs? So, you know, today's generation want a lot of experience-based games. And as Abbas rightly pointed out, they want a social competitive environment. So, you know, to cater to those needs, you really need a lot of customization, a lot of local support for those products. And any industry that is growing at a CAGR of 15% cannot do that solely by, you know, being dependent on imports. So this local manufacturing industry has to come up to cater to all of these needs. And not just in India. I mean, we believe if the technology is there, if I mean we are putting in the right technology, we can make it for the global audience and not just India. And
Just for the record, he's making one game for our Australia unit. So he's already doing it now.
That's awesome. So that is getting truly transnational.
thanks to Abbas that we got that opportunity. But yeah, and if anyone can guess here right now that what percentage of products that are placed in Indian amusement industry are imported? Does anyone has any number? 80%. Yep.
Audience is open. Anyone from the
Can
audience
audience
also
guess
answer.
what that number is? Yep. It's actually much higher than that. It's 92%. So only 7 to 8% of the local demand is being catered by local manufacturers. But you know, right now, hopefully, people who are really into technology, few like us, and by the right support, we can definitely get that number to much higher than that. And also, as per the reports which I was quoting right now, this is very important. Why? Because 17% of the operational cost for Indian FECs goes into maintenance of the products, which is 6% for the global industry. 6 versus 17. Why? Because there's no local support. If you have the local support, that 17% can come down to 6% and the industry can be more profitable.
So we'll have to wrap it up. Before I wrap it up, I know you want to say something. Do say that. And one adjective or an adverb for the young people sitting out here, which you will say. It could be persistent, it could be perseverance, patience, anything that you want to say that, hey, if you want to get into business or into a career path, this is what you should follow. One adjective from each one of you.
Before that, I just want to put a comment on the manufacturing side. So our company realized this way back, and we have done a backward integration. And I'm happy to tell you that 40% of the games in Masti Zone are manufactured by us only. So we import only 60% of the games. And we have ramped up our manufacturing. And we have become the largest manufacturer of arcade games in India. And in next 2 years, we plan to have in-house games of around 65% of the total games. So this we have realized that importing would be difficult. BIS certification of the imported games would be essential, and we would have to depend on others. So once this happens, 65% games are manufactured by us. Our maintenance cost goes down by a huge number. And apart from this, you asked me to give an adjective. For ISEs, I would say exponential growing.
Great. How about you, Vishal? Any adjective, any adverb that you believe, you would like to profess?
I think an adjective for this industry would be experience. Experience is what people are coming for, and that is what the industry is also able to deliver well with players like Time Zone, with Game Palacio, and with Masti Zone, definitely. Yeah.
I would say financial discipline. Financial discipline.
Belief.
That's a big one.
I think what is very close to us in Time Zone is creating memories and strengthening bonds. That's what we want to create.
Yeah, so creating memories is what, when you also said it, it was like creating memories. Experience and creating memories is what people are coming in for.
I would say that the industry is growing, so game on.
Well done. And we would be open for any Q&As. If anyone has any Q&A, while Mapek would like to kick us out now, but any Q&As, we'll be happy to take them up. Oh, she's saying she didn't have lunch too.
So it seems that only Abbas sir could grab some fun lunch moments there. Why not all of us grab
Abbas
some lunch
just has
together?
lunch once.
But we must meet again for conversation and questions and networking over lunch. I'd like to take this moment and thank all of you for joining us. And may I please request all our guests to put their hands together as we present a token of appreciation for our speakers. So may I request you to please present each of them with some amazing gift hampers, all thanks to our wonderful partners. And like we said, this is all about branding, the superpower of branding. So may we request you to please present each of our speakers with a wonderful token right here. For all my delegates, I'd like to share with you, we have some absolutely brilliant gifts coming for you after lunch. So at 3 p.m., we're going to open the doors back. And all these gift hampers are coming your way. You don't want to miss out on them. We have some real fun activities. We're going to play a fun game. So please do join us back. And we also have some spectacular speakers on the other side of this lunch break. We'll be talking about some very, very important segments. And to thank sir, may I please welcome Ms. Rima Punya on stage. Sir, please give us an opportunity to thank you for your presence and for moderating this segment, joining us for a group photograph. If I could request you all to please come closer. Like I said, it's time for us to network, interact, and enjoy a good meal together. Please enjoy a networking lunch break. We meet again at 3 p.m. in the same hall. Looking forward to seeing all of you on the other side. Thank you.